All right. Welcome, everybody. Good to see everybody. Today is Wednesday, September 16th, 2025. I would just like to remind everyone that this is a public meeting, that it's being recorded. A meeting agenda is available on the Public Service Commission events calendar and also on the task force webpage. Also, in an effort to maintain audio quality, please mute yourself when not speaking. Also ask that any members of the public be mindful of their audio and remain muted throughout the duration of this meeting, other than during the public comment period. I'll go ahead and do roll call for those that are members of the Governor's Task Force Broadband Access. Bob Abrams.
Present.
Thank you, Bob. Biko Baker. Kwame Barnes. Marta Bechtel.
Here.
Thank you, Marta. Brittany Byer.
Here.
Thank you, Brittany. Sal Carranza.
Here.
Thank you, Sal. Lori Collins, let me know she would not be in attendance today. Angie Dickinson also let me know she wouldn't be able to attend. Emily Dittmar.
Here.
Thank you. Russ Falkenberg.
Here, Mark.
Thanks, Russ. Chris Hershon. Gail Hike.
Here.
Thanks, Gail. Barbara Koldos.
I'm here.
Thanks, Barbara. Chris on yet? Meyer.
Chris is here.
Oh, hey, there you are. Good to see you. State Senator Markline or staff. Jose Martinez. State Representative Mursall or staff. State Senator Radcliffe or staff. State Senator Path or staff.
I'm here on behalf of Senator Path.
All right, thank you. Mike Rave.
Here.
Thanks, Mike. Rachel Shumlin let me know she would not be able to attend today. Steve Schneider.
Here.
Thank you, Steve. Michelle Schuler let me know she would not be able to attend today. Brett Schupner. Josh Shell. Chet Streeb. State Representative Udell or staff.
Staff is here.
All right, thank you. And
Staff.
Chad Young. I do not believe I missed anything, but if I did, could you please let me know now?
Staff for Ratcliffe is here.
Staff Radcliffe. All right, thank you very much. All right, Chris, if it's okay, I'll go into public comment.
Yes, and thank you for kicking things off while I had connection problems.
Yep, no problem. Now is the time where we all allow for public comment. This is a sole opportunity for members of the public to make a comment during this meeting. Members of the public may soon unmute and make a public comment should they desire. I do ask that the public comment remain brief and also pertain to the subject of broadband access. You may also utilize the chat function in Zoom to let us know you'd like to make a public comment as well. I will ask for public comment now. Second call for public comment. And last call for public comment. Hearing none, as a note, written public comment is also accepted on an ongoing basis. We have directions on how to do so on our task force webpage, along with other information like meeting agendas, recordings, and updates. I will hand it back over to Chris to lead us through the rest of the agenda. Chris?
Thanks, Mark. All right, moving on, Public Service Commission updates. We have several updates. It's been a busy summer for the Public Service Commission. Who's giving this update? Is this Rory or is this Alyssa?
I will get the slide deck going. Give me half a second, and then I think we'll kind of trade off among our group.
All right.
How does that look?
See it.
Melissa, you want to kick us off?
Do I? Sure. Well, thanks, everybody. I think, we could probably move right to the next slide. It has been a busy summer. I think that the big thing in most task force, so what happened is sorry, I see somebody in the waiting room. I'm doing two roles.
I got it.
Thank you. Task force members know that in June we got what we sort of refer to as BOB, or the BEAD restructuring policy notice. And so this required a lot of kind of rapid changes to the BEAD program that we had been talking about and planning for and getting some task force insight in for a long time. And so that we call it sort of BEAD Bob because it was named the benefit of the bargain, came out right before the task force report. So if you saw the task force report, there was a little addendum. And so we spent our summer as an office largely doing what felt like a year of work over the summer. But just a few high level things. is the first thing is we had to rescind all the prior awards. So if you had been kind of following along round one, round two, if anyone had a preliminary award before the policy notice, it was rescinded. The only small bit of that is if you had a rescinded award, you were able to get more points in the bond round if you went to secondary criteria. So just a few things. We put out 175,000. Somebody's going to show a slide that shows I'm estimating wrong, but about 175,000 locations were eligible in the Bob round. We the other highlights were it was a technology neutral, lowest cost per location wins. And the only time you went to those secondary scoring criteria is with the lowest cost was within 15%. After what we would call deconfliction, so you sort of take all those overlapping applications and pick those lowest cost ones, you end up with a lot of remaining locations. Even when you have a lot of applications, people have entire projects. And so when they lose a part, they often lose the whole project. And so in August, which was not long ago, we spent a very rapid week trying to negotiate the final locations. And in the state of Wisconsin, that was about 34,000. So again, 144 was won through Bob. The rest were sort of direct negotiations. And that was approved in our volume 2. We put it out for public comment at the end of August. We got 113 public comments. So if you were among the robust group that got people commenting or got people excited about the plan or got people not excited about the plan, but we really do appreciate all those public comments and the commission reads them. It went in front of our Public Service Commission on September 3rd and was approved for submittal, and it was submitted by the September 4th deadline. Roy, is that my part?
Yeah. So all in, we awarded about 174,000 locations, about $700 million. Now we're kind of in this phase where we are going back and forth with NTIA, kind of making small adjustments to kind of fix some data problems and just kind of meet their policy goals. So things are still very preliminary. We keep highlighting that on these slides. Nothing's really quite set until they approve it, which will hopefully be sometime in the next month or two. So if you're interested in kind of what the BEAD awards look like on a more like community by community level, our mapping team put up this great web tool. Here's a link here, and we can drop that in chat as well. But it gives you kind of a granular zoomed in version of where these awards are hitting and kind of what providers, what technologies are planned, preliminarily awarded for those communities. So let me just give me half a second. I will pull up a window. I can show you. I hit share and I will show you just a little bit of zooming around the map. It's got awards kind of in two main groups. You can look at it by technology, which is what we're looking at right now. So on this kind of view, green technology will be fiber. The different shades of blue are different types of fixed wireless. And then orange will be kind of the low Earth orbit satellites. So really a good mix throughout the state. I don't have the numbers off the top of my head, but I think about 3/4 of our locations are planned for fiber. The remainder kind of split pretty evenly between satellite and fixed wireless. So if you want to zoom in, you can zoom in. You can look at an individual location. You can see kind of just near Green Lake area. We have Bertram Communications with a number of awards. There's some Bug Tussle in here. And Marquette Adams Telephone Cooperative. So you can kind of see who won. I think if you click on these and put myself on the spot, it'll tell you a little bit more information about that. You can also just see it by provider if you want to toggle the colors here. So here's by provider, which is kind of a fun little mosaic of color. So that's a nice tool if folks are interested in certain communities or, certain specific impacts. It also has in there what we call remove codes. So throughout the process, we originally established the eligible locations for BEAD kind of at the end of 2023. How time flies, some things have changed. So in a number of cases, if a location got new service, or, you know, just changes on the ground, we had to account for those. You can see those remove codes are kind of basically situations where kind of NTIA's rules said we did not need to award a location because it was already kind of spoken for or resolved. So that's the award map. Next steps for BEAD, maybe I can pass this to Alyssa.
Sure, and so the state of Wisconsin's, like I said, we submitted by the deadline of September 4th, and now we're you know, some people say review and approval, but I would call it curing and approval. And so there's a number of things in the policy notice that NTIA has very specific sort of authority to overturn. So they can review every project. The things that they're most specifically looking at are how we as a state decided what a priority project was and what a priority project wasn't. They're looking at excessive cost, where they think a project is sort of too high or too much money. And then they're just looking like, did we follow our approved process? And so some of those are things we knew in advance, like we knew our process, but some of the other things are things that are really subject to some back and forth communications with NTIA as we work out the approval process. All of this to say, I don't think the state expects our draft awards to stay completely exactly whole. We expect there to be modifications both from cures from NTIA and also we imagine some providers might come forward and give us some information about their participation in the program or what happened, you know, sort of what they're able to do or something. And so we expect between now and up to 90 days when we approve that there's going to be a little bit of movement on those maps. So it's really important to understand the amounts are preliminary, the percents of different technologies are preliminary. We do expect, if not be certain, that there will be some additional movement of these numbers as we go through kind of curing and review and meet the standards. Sorry, I think and then once we get approved, we have some additional time for tribal consent for any projects that are traversing tribes. We have BEAD is subject to NEPA, the National Environmental Policy Act, and that will certainly take a little bit of time. Once those things are done, we hope projects and shovels will be in the ground in 2026. They have 4 years to construct, so that gets you to 2030. The state of Wisconsin, along with many, I think actually all other states, has remaining funds from our allocation. And we continue to await federal guidance for how, if that can be spent. And so we did have some plans for the non-deployment that had been previously approved, but they were rescinded with the policy notice also. Bob, I saw a question from you. I'm going to go look at it. We work with our federal program officer every day-ish right now, if not maybe every other day, but we're working pretty closely with both the federal program officer from NTIA and then I think they have some contractors that are reviewing budgets and some other things that we're going back and forth on some curing and additional documentation. Is the Bob effort resulting in faster project completion? Both for the prior BEAD and for this Bob BEAD, providers have 4 years from the execution of the grant agreement. It's possible that the mix of technologies might result in projects that can go faster, but there was no obligation for anyone to get to complete any faster in Bob than there was in BEAD. It's 4 years, you know, before and after the policy notice. I think that's it on this one.
All right, I will pass it to Mark for our last slide.
All right, so the broadband office has been working on other things other than BEAD, and it's important to highlight that they awarded the PSC Lifeline Outreach Grant and the PSC Nonprofit Access Grant to assist low-income customers to obtain affordable access to essential telecommunication services, and through the federal Lifeline program and state Lifeline program, which provides a discount to low-income households households and essential services. So that PSC Lifeline Outreach Grant was 5 awards totaling $250,000. And then the PSC Nonprofit Access Grant was 14 awards, totaling 500,000. So again, good programs going on to continue those efforts of the task force recommendations on affordability and adoption. Next slide, Rory.
That's it.
That is it.
What questions do you have? I have one follow-up question for, I guess I'm not sure who it's for, but do we expect any more changes? I mean, is there discussion or conversation or awareness of additional changes coming down from the federal government that maybe we haven't heard of yet? There's smiles, which means probably, but we don't know either.
Great question. I think Alyssa can take that one.
So the non-deployment dollars are a big one. That is, you know, in the state of Wisconsin looking to be $300 million. So that's a lot of money and we don't have guidance on that. And so I don't know if it's changes as much as an unknown. And then I think as we get to different phases, there's places where it says NTIA will have forthcoming guidance. So like how we're supposed to measure the performance of networks, that's still in draft form. We know we don't know yet, but eventually they're going to tell us exactly how we have to measure the networks and what engineering certifications and stuff. So I am positive there will be additional guidance. I would be very surprised if there's anything as sort of disruptive as Bob was, right? That policy notice really like it involved like removing a lot of years of work and rescinding a war. I mean, that was, I would not expect that there would be anything like that again, as much as there's going to be guidance that's going to, you know, cause us all to have work to do. But most of the guidance is probably in the, you know, it says that it's forthcoming. So.
All right. Any other questions from the task force?
I have one, if I could, please. I realize we can't change the past, but I'm just very curious where the decision was made to be technology neutral. And I say that at the risk of offending some people here, but my fear is as standards progress, and maybe, you know, 5 years from now, the new standard is going to be gig or 2 gig. I don't know anything other than fiber that's going to be able to keep up with the increase in speeds as there's more demand. And I'm just wondering if you can give me some background on how that decision was made.
I mean, I can be clear that that decision was made at the federal level, and it
Okay.
was a decision that changed from one administration to the other. So like the prior BEAD, they did have kind of tiered levels of fiber as the priority, and then licensed fixed wireless, and then what they called alternative. When, you know, I think that, you know, I don't want to speak for this administration when they put out their policy notice, but it was really about sort of giving equal access to all different types of providers. And also there was a real strong emphasis in the policy notice of a benefit to the taxpayers. And so really reducing the cost, and that going technology neutral would reduce the cost. And so, you know, I can say from this task force prior recommendations that this task force certainly has made recommendations and set goals that kind of align with more fiber is better when it's sort of practicable and useful. And this policy notice was definitely a pivot from that. But it was not a state decision. It was not a commission decision. It was at the federal level, and it was contingent to do that to receive the money.
Okay, thanks, Alyssa.
Good question. Any other discussion or questions?
Just a quick question, the difference between the original allocation and the 690 million, can the feds take that back, or is it just a matter of how it would be allowed to be utilized? Or I'm just curious your color, because you know, as Alyssa said, that 300+ million is a lot of money.
The funding is obligated to the state through a formula, like it's obligated to many other states. That does not mean the federal government might decide that it's, you know, in the best interest to basically what we've seen like for our digital equity program, they like did a forced amendment. They basically said like, even though we've awarded the digital equity funds to you, it's now terminated on May 9th. And so the funding is obligated. There's not, it's in statute that way, but that does not mean that the administration doesn't have, their own ability to limit the use of that funding or make other decisions. And I would say the savings from Bob have been pretty substantial. So there's, there's 42 billion across the country. I think they're estimating savings across the country of somewhere in like the 13 to 20 billion dollars that won't be used on deployment anymore. So I would imagine that the administration will have some ideas about how that should be spent, and I hope it's in the state of Wisconsin.
So to be clear, the money
Yeah.
is not in the state of Wisconsin's
Yeah.
bank account, right? Like until the federal government kind of decides how that money is going to be spent and kind of agrees with us that we will do however they want to do it, the state won't have access to it. The law provides a formula, but we don't have the actual cash in hand.
Can they change the formula at this point, or is that set in
That's
statute?
statute.
Okay,
Nope, the formula is the same.
thank you.
You bet, Steve. Any other discussion or questions? Okay. Moving on in the agenda, our next item is a presentation. This is going to be New North Digital Skilling Program. And we are going to have Rebecca Deshane, Vice President of Talent Development at New North. Rebecca.
Great. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate this opportunity to join the meeting and share a little bit about the work that we're doing in the New North region related to digital skilling. You're all familiar with the great work that Barbara Koldos has been leading with our BEAD implementation and the work to make sure that individuals across our county have access to those broadband services. And at the same time, we have been working to make sure that we're creating opportunities for individuals to build the skills that they need in order to be part of that digital economy. So thank you for this opportunity to give an update on what we're doing next. So next slide, please. So just a little bit of quick background. A few years back, we had partnered with the Bay Area Workforce Development on one of their Worker Advancement Initiative grants, a WAY grant, with funding they received from DWD to create a program that we call New Boost. New Boost is New Northeast Wisconsin, Boost being building opportunities for overlooked sustainable talent. Our goal with this program was to really connect with our hidden talent across our 18 county region. And hidden talent are those individuals that are either underemployed or not in the workforce, but also not connected with those traditional workforce systems. So how can we make sure that we're identifying where people are and connecting with them? And we focused in our Black and Brown communities, our rural populations and veterans. And by doing so, we were able to partner with a number of organizations to meet them in community before trying to get them connected into programs related to digital skilling. Next slide. And so we were fortunate. Again, we received funding from both Bay Area and from Microsoft to be able to do this work, which was really direct access for individuals. And by doing so, we partnered with organizations like African Heritage, who helped us make sure that we were bringing those culturally relevant communication skills and engagement opportunities into our community. So through African Heritage, the College Menominee Nation, We All Rise, we partnered in with our literacy councils in our area with Back to Basics to marry up where individuals are meeting and connecting and building community, and then connecting them with the resources and the training opportunities to build those digital skills as we're going forward. And just really, as we're going through this process, next slide, please. We really recognize that it's hard work to be able to help connect with people. So you're going out, you're talking with individuals, you're trying to get them connected to these different resources. They have to meet certain parameters for this grant. So we had 84 recruits, and of that, 57 were approved as they met the grant guidelines. And then working with them directly to make sure that they have the resources and the support to complete those skilling programs. And what we found throughout this program is we have a lot of individuals in our region that want to improve their skills, but they're also facing many challenges in life. So whether it's needing to make sure that they can pay their rent, have reliable transportation, access to childcare, all the things that we've talked about quite a bit in our state as needs for us to continue to work on, were really relevant and evident as part of this process. What we're really excited about, though, is that we engaged in different outreach events. So we were going to places that we generally engage with before and connecting in with our community partners to make sure that we were not only just showing up, but showing up in culturally relevant ways and being able to make sure that we were providing the resources that they need. And at the same time, we were also working directly with our training partners to provide those partner trainings. Next slide, please. We are very proud of the fact that this work that we were leading to help build our workforce was recognized by the Wisconsin Economic Development Association with their 2023 CETA Award. CETA is the Community and Economic Development Award in their talent development category. And really this recognized the great work you'll see on the screen here, individuals that were working at home, individuals that were in different locations. And, we went to a couple businesses that had warn notices to meet with those individuals that were going to go through a layoff process to be able to share information about our program and then help get them connected to those digital skilling resources that they might need to either advance or freshen up with in order to make next steps as part of their career journey. Next slide, please. So when that grant period ended, we continued this work. We continued to work with the partners. Many of them already had digital skilling within their framework, and many added this into it because of our partnership. So we wanted to make sure that we were continuing to move beyond the grant, fully aware of being able to be sustainable, but also making sure that we were connecting in with communities and understanding what our role under the new Boost mantra would look like. So in the next slide, it talks a little bit about what we look like from a new Boost 2.0, as we like to talk about it. And this really went from us shifting our focus from direct skilling efforts with individuals to making sure that we were actually supporting organizations. One of the learnings that we took away from the initial grant was that many people in our organizations want to do this work, but they may not have the knowledge, the confidence, or access to the information that they would need to serve the clients that they are connecting to. So through this new programming, we're really focusing in on train the trainer opportunities where we can bring different training modules and presentations to our network that we're building here across our region to make sure that they understand where they can go, have a link to different resources, but also now have a community of practice that they can engage with as they get questions from the clients that they're serving. So you'll see a flyer on the left-hand side. Again, we're looking to build those navigators. So we've been sharing this information. People can scan the QR code. It gets them connected to us, and then we connect them in with our network as we're going forward. Next slide, please. And we're very excited to be able to continue this work through a grant that we received from AARP. So they have their National Community Challenge Grant, and New North was one of about 300 communities across the state or across the nation that was awarded a grant that allows us to be able to really build up this network, to be able to do the outreach, to be able to increase our marketing opportunities, but also be able to find the resources that we can provide to our network that they can leverage as they're connecting in with the clients that they're serving. Next slide, please. And so this really is about, again, building a network. This is a photo from our kickoff event that we held in July. And it included some of our partners that we had worked with from the College of Menominee Nation and Fox Valley Literacy, Door County Tech Equity, but also included many new partners. So we have the Salvation Army and the Kroc Community Center. Veterans First of Northeast Wisconsin joined us. A nonprofit organization based in Denmark, Wisconsin, a very rural community in our region, that is trying to do work within their community to help create those digital connections, is now part of us, ADRC and Forward Service Corporation. So a wide mix of individuals that are now joining us, but they're trusted community partners that are already working directly with their clients. And then our role is really to come alongside them and to help them build their skills, to provide training, to provide hands-on practice, and then really help connect our community by helping them offer those different workshops and different sessions one-on-one with their clients. Next slide, please. So what does our New Boost Digital Navigator model look like? Well, on the top portion of this slide, and I apologize, it's a little bit small. Thanks to AI, we were able to create some really cool slides for our people. But really, we're talking about how are we recruiting individuals to be part of our network. So working with our libraries, our ADRCs, going into different churches, our cultural groups, and different community organizations, anywhere where people are connecting in with others who want to build their digital skills, and then being able to provide those trainings for them, so that, again, they have the confidence and the access to the resources that they can use to support the individuals that they're connected with. And it really gives us this opportunity to serve others and to serve our community. And you go to the next slide, please. Now, because our grant has been through AARP, we're targeting in on the 50+ community, but we're very grateful for the flexibility from AARP that we're allowed to connect with anybody that approaches us and demonstrates a need to be connected. So many of our partners are working with returning citizens. So how are we helping them understand what a cell phone is and how to utilize a cell phone? How are we helping people understand, the different scams that are out there, what to be aware of, the importance of cybersecurity, and different ways of communication. And for many, they're not familiar with this. So how are we helping people understand different ways that they can be connected, but also how they can be doing that safely and with their online etiquette as an important topic. You can go to the next slide, please. And again, I think it's really important that we want to share that this is a peer network that we have now evolved into through our Digital Navigator network. I understand Digital Navigator means a lot of things and some very specific things through different programs. For us, it's not necessarily about an individual that is going out to meet individuals to understand what their needs are, but it really is about this community that is serving others and providing those digital skilling opportunities. And in a way, we're working to create a network where there's no wrong door. You can ask a question and now our network is able to say, I don't have that information, but I know somebody who does, and I can help get us connected to that information that we need. It also helps us create referrals as it relates to needs beyond digital skilling. So how can we make sure that we're helping individuals as they're working through different barriers or challenges with life into those other support and community-based programs that can help them overcome that information. All along the way, we're working to provide ongoing coaching, one-on-one services, and really being able to help connect them into those different opportunities. You can go to the next slide, please. So on the left are just a couple examples of some of the trainings that we're doing. So, again, we're talking about internet safety and the ethics of being online and identifying credible sources. But we're also talking with our network about ways to do community outreach, ways that they can be doing their marketing to reach different clients. So if you don't have people coming into you, but you're really trying to serve the community, what are those things that you can be doing that are going to help elevate your messaging and be able to connect with them? And at the same time, we're collaborating together. We are so grateful for Jessica Beckendorf and the team at Extension, who have been just tremendous partners with us as we've been trying to build out our own network, being able to be connected to the statewide network, and then have access to the trainings that have come forward from NDEET as well, really creates those opportunities for us to leverage the best practice, to leverage the trainings that already exist, and be able to bring those to our partners here in the New North region. All the training documents that we're putting together, we're trying to pull from those sources. So whether it's NDIA or leveraging these types of trainings, we're not looking to recreate the wheel. We're really looking to leverage what is existing, but find new ways to connect others to those different resources. Next slide, please. So again, this is just a sample of a training slide that we had put together when we were talking with our clients. And this really focuses in on the need for plain language and communication. How are we making sure that the way that we're talking about this with the individuals and the clients that we're serving comes through clearly? It's not technical jargon. It's more really using those short, simple sentences, common words. So help with computers versus digital literacy training. So really looking at different ways that we can help support and just provide insights on ways that you can connect better with individuals. The next slide is just another example of, understanding every different learner is different, meeting them where they're at. And again, some examples of some of the plain language that we recommend individuals use as they're doing that. And then as a reminder, there's a lot of information, as you guys know, to be able to take in on this. So, the folks that we're working with, we understand that they're not always going to be an expert, but they want to have understanding of where they can find an expert or the resources for that. But really our goal is to listen to the individual about what their needs are, provide that support with patients, and make sure that we're focusing not only on those digital skills, but what are those other life needs that they may have. Next slide, please. So what's next for us? We are excited to be hosting an event during National Digital Inclusion Week. So we've called it the Age of Influence and Building Connections, Connected Futures, and really looking at ways that we can talk about digital inclusion across different generations and capacities. We're excited to welcome in AARP as one of our keynote speakers and talk about some of the activities that are happening in the region, and then really kind of dive into some deeper conversations around what are our community needs, how can we better serve the individuals that are part of our network, but more importantly, how do we continue to build this network of peers that can be working through this process and being connected. And we're grateful to the Kroc Community Center from the Salvation Army for hosting our event on Tuesday, October 7th. What's next also is we heard from our network. They would like to have quick access. So we are working on creating a curriculum playbook. So what does that mean? I mentioned we worked with Forward Service Corporation, and they do a lot of work with returning citizens. And one of the things that has, first and foremost, that they want to know about is how to use a cell phone. May not have had any cell phones at the time they may have entered into the correctional system, and as they're coming out, being able to better understand what they can be doing, how they should be using it, and providing them those resources. So we're creating those quick links. How can we give them the information that they can take? They don't have to search through a number of different websites, but really just some quick access to those resources, but then also have some handouts that they can use with their clients so that they have a takeaway with them as they're going to be doing that on their own and not having somebody side by side. We have ongoing trainings. We provide 2 virtual trainings a month. In fact, we had one earlier this morning. We were talking about We provided them with a training that they could do in their region, so walk through what they could be doing with their clients. We continue to do our outreach. We are looking at different ways to evaluate what we're doing in surveys. We'd like to be able to do some asset mapping to be able to identify where digital skilling is occurring. So as we're working at that local, county, regional level, we can provide that as a resource to help people be connected to where those opportunities are. And we'll look at different curated trainings. So we are planning during National Digital Inclusion Week to also offer a proctor training opportunity through the North Star Digital Literacy. So creating ways that we can train more people to support the more technically, right, the curriculum-based digital literacy trainings that are available. And then making sure that we're always connecting to some of the existing resources. NDIA is one. Again, we use a lot of their trainings and their toolkits and have been encouraging individuals to look at the training certificate that they have available as well. So if you'd like, you're welcome to register. We welcome anybody to join us at our National Digital Inclusion Week. We are working with our partners to be able to create some social media type posts that they can be sharing during that week and promote the different events that they will also be hosting to collectively show all of this great work that is happening across the New North region. And with that, I think my next slide is my closing slide. And again, I thank you all for the work that you are leading in our state. And I truly appreciate this opportunity to join you today and welcome any questions that anyone may have.
Thank you, Rebecca. What questions do we have? Great presentation.
Hey, thank you. This is Sal Carranza, Rebecca. Thank you for the presentation. It's really good what you're doing. Something kind of suggestion, I don't know if you're already doing it. You're trying to have simple speaking with English language learners, whether they're Hmong or Spanish speaking or any other language. For example, you mentioned there that when you want to say browser, you just tell them, well, click the internet. Or when you want to talk about icons, you say, hey, you know, the picture. But it's important, maybe you can develop some kind of dictionary so that they understand that browser means what you are trying to imply to them. Because they are going to encounter browser and icon and a lot of very technical words in the future. That way they can come back and refer and say, oh yeah, I remember they told me that browser means internet, right? That would be very helpful, because otherwise, when they go in the future and encounter browser or icon or any of these terms, they're not going to know what they mean, nor going to remember, but they can go back to their dictionary or thesaurus, as it may, and then say, oh, that's what it means. Yeah, just a suggestion, but a great work with what you're trying to do.
I love that recommendation. Thank you so much for sharing it, because it is really important. You're going to hear that in different ways from other places. So being able to provide them with that resource that they can go back and have their confidence in finding that is really important. Jessica, maybe that's something we can work on from an extension collaboration.
Absolutely.
Other questions? All right. Thank you, Rebecca. We appreciate your time. Great presentation.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on in our agenda, our next activity is an activity. Makes sense, huh? Group discussion, which is going to be led by Jessica. Jessica.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back. Skip over that. I wanted to start by just kind of going over and reminding everyone of kind of what we're here for and what our current goals are. And so I went back to the task force report that was released earlier this year and just grabbed the 4 kind of overarching goals to remind you of what we're working towards. So I'm not going to read through all the details, but I do want to add that the emphasis was added by me. This emphasis was not, it was really more for legibility because it's a lot of words on the page. But the basics are that by 2029, we want all homes and businesses to have access with download speeds of at least 100 megabits per second and upload speeds of at least 20. By 2029, we want all community anchor institutions to have access with minimum speeds of at least 1,000 megabits per second and upload speeds of at least 1,000. So 1,000 symmetrical. And then where we're able to, we want to place a emphasis and priority on reaching future-proof speeds beyond 120 and up to and including 1,000 megabits per second symmetrical. And then fiber technology should be prioritized, but not exclusively required. And then what we did last year, so those recommendations were came out of the 2024 plan. And then in 2025, we worked really hard to come up with these 3 recommendation categories. So we have a whole number of recommendations around deployment, which includes continued investment in state broadband programs, permitting, and grant administration. And I purposely didn't put all the details here, otherwise it would have been a whole lot of words on this page.
Jessica, you want to share your screen?
I'm not sharing my screen. Seriously, we practiced this, Mark.
Yeah, you sounded
Okay.
good, so I just let you
I'm
flow.
sorry, everyone. You just let me roll with it. Here, I'll go back a little. At least you didn't have to suffer through seeing all these words, but this is what I just went over, were those overall goals. Apologies. And that's what I meant when I said emphasis was added by me, just for legibility. Okay. So then in 2025, we worked hard to come up with a series of recommendations under these main categories and subcategories. So I just went through deployment. And then the second category was partnerships, which included recommendations related to broadband facility locating, workforce training, and tribal coordination. And then the last one was functional adoption, which included recommendations on affordability, digital skills and literacy, and preparing for our digital future. I know that was a very fast reminder of where we've been. Does anyone want to add a note on here or ask a question before we move on to our discussion? Did I miss anything, PSD staff?
No, all good.
Okay. Okay. So this is what we're driving toward, right? We are trying to affect these areas so that we can meet these goals. So let's talk about what we're going to do this year. The purpose of what we're driving at for today's activities is to identify the most important issues that we want to investigate this year. And we want to do that in order to provide a strong foundation for future meeting topics, for speakers, and for recommendations, of course, because that's what we're working toward, is what are our next set of recommendations that we can start working toward and keep making a difference. So we have 2 sets two sections to our discussion today. The first one, you're going to go around in a bit of a round robin where you're just going to share 1 or 2 kind of broad interest areas that you think the task force should investigate this year. Don't worry about having it all fleshed out. It's just broad ideas right now. And then you're going to go through that fairly quickly, because then you're going to go through each one of those broad interest areas, and you're going to start crafting some complete sentences, or rather complete questions, starting with how can we, right? So your facilitators in your rooms will give you examples, but you'll have 10 to 12 minutes or so to have that discussion, the second part of that discussion. So then we'll come back and we'll do a quick report out, and then we're going to go back into breakout rooms for our next activity, which I'll explain when we get there. Any questions about what I'm asking you to do? Your facilitators in your rooms will also help guide you. Okay, Mark, I think we can send everyone to their rooms.
All right, here we go.
Then I'll go back.
Go back and share your screen.
Yep.
Yep.
So as we usually do, when the task force members have gone into their discussions, I will share a little bit about why the task force is even gathering to begin with. What are we doing here? So the task force is meeting as a result of Executive Order 80, where the task force is tasked with things like researching and recommending broadband policies and initiatives that address state goals and needs, promoting efficient and strategic expansion of broadband facilities and adoption across the state, exploring and developing solutions in collaboration with key broadband stakeholders and experts, identifying and preparing technical or white papers on top priority issues concerning broadband, and then, of course, reporting to the governor and legislature annually by June 30th on all of those things that are listed right there, which I will leave up here for a moment rather than reading through them all. In a moment, we'll show you how their conversation is starting to unfold. I always think, Mark, that it would be kind of fun if we could be like sports announcers during this time and just like.
Yep. Like I said, feel free to share your screen to where the discussion.
Am I not
Or
sharing
no,
it
you
at
share
all?
your screen, but go to the discussion rooms where they're putting.
Oh
their-
yeah. I'm gonna just press escape first.
Yeah.
It takes them a minute usually to get going on the typing, so
That's our play-by-play.
yeah, this is our play-by-play, right? We can't really comment on what they're saying, but I can at least share what they're saying. How can we increase adoption rates, particularly in rural markets? Adoption coming up again. Let's see that again. So not reinventing the wheel, the growth of AI and machine learning, working with companies that have performed well in the past, expanding programs like Digital Navigator. I think it's question if we need two-tier broadband speed goal, given the new BEAD Bob awards are going to primarily non-fiber projects. UW Extension paying attention to Bob decisions, needing faster speeds or build out fiber. What are strategies that will support that movement? Okay. Making sure digital skills development. I mean, you know what? Maybe I won't read it while they're typing.
No, looks good. Like I said, you said take a minute there, coming off break from the task force. Everybody's come prepared, ready
Yep.
to discuss.
And they know when they're being watched because they can see me click into their room. So I love the not reinventing the wheel comments. Not that I can have an opinion on it, but it's always nice to not reinvent the wheel. I think that's just as a general rule. All right, making sure digital skills development is a priority for communications going forward. Is that what they mean by comms?
Yeah, I think.
Whole communication members or committee members? Plus, who needs digital skills adoption? Responsible use of AI. Great. The federal changes don't match long-range Wisconsin plan.
For those online that might not know what LCSO stands for, it stands for low cost service offerings.
Thank you. I did not point that out before. Right, working with county governments on AI. I know that's something that Extension has looked into, and I'm sure many others have as well. How can we in Wisconsin still encourage public-private partnerships? The last mile, extremely rural people. I have a relative dealing with that right now. The fiber's being put in at the road, but it's quite a ways to get to their house yet.
More than that 500 feet line.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Yep. Okay. Looks like they're all just kind of having discussion right now. So
Yep, and then we do have those extra slides and them if they need more space to write.
yeah, they can create sometimes I try to duplicate the slides for them, but I think that gets stressful and confusing. I'll let them do it when they're ready. Difference between fiber and the possibilities of fiber compared to fixed wireless access. Come back to that one. Monitoring for when networks are at, oh, nope. They weren't ready for that one to be out there. Increasing growth with AI, big gap in what people can do if they have fixed access. What is future proof in terms of technology? Okay, infrastructure capacity planning. Mm. I have about 5 minutes left. All right. My guess is and I guess this is sort of a sports announcer play-by-play here, that they're starting to switch to the how can we question development.
Get play-by-play. Steve is having a long comment or discussion, followed by Mike in room 2 and room 3 with Brittany.
Okay. That's great. Let's see what they do next, Mark. How can we have forward-looking speed goals for Wisconsin that recognize interim solutions? Yeah, and just to be clear, you saw this in the instructions that I created for the facilitators, Mark, but I will be very happy if we just have 1 to 2 how can we, like fleshed out how can we questions from each group.
Oh yeah.
That was Yep, that was the instruction they got. I mean, they have a lot of ideas up there, but we only need 1 to 2 fully fleshed out questions. We can continue development of the other of the others as we go on.
From these comments and thinking on here, they'll come up with the how can we question from these comments. And
Yeah.
Brittany in room 3 is still going.
Ah, highlighting the how can we's. That's nice. Let's see this one here. Okay. You've got a couple minutes left yet.
Task force member's gone quiet now. It looks like it's on the facilitators are doing some talking right now.
Great. I love this play-by-play idea, Mark.
You got some action room 1, action room 3, room 2 has gone quiet.
I feel like it really makes public meetings more interesting. I've been to many public meetings. That wasn't really a slam on public meetings so much as a understanding of the reality.
Yeah, I know that feeling. I've been to just a couple of public meetings.
Just a couple. Yeah. Great. Groups are moving along. The other thing I told facilitators is that if they have to pivot, because sometimes the conversation in a group is just going a different direction, that pivoting is completely okay too. So we're really just trying to get the ideas from the task force members. We can work with whatever they give us.
Yep, and from the time I gave them 15 minutes in there, so
Yeah.
we're under the minute mark, so not surprised it's winding down. Give them a good amount of time. So the next question, I'll give again that 15 minutes.
Yep, that sounds great.
And just remind them if they don't need that full 15 minutes, they can come out of their room early.
Yes.
Oh, geez, I feel like a parent. They can come out.
Is everyone back yet? Nope.
I'm back.
Oh,
Hey,
I see you.
Jessica, could we
Yeah.
the next time, could you give us a time that we're going until? Because maybe I missed it, but I think like it said 5 to 7 minutes in the facilitator notes, but I just wanted to make sure that I think we went longer than that. So
Oh, yeah.
time we have.
Yep. 5 to 7 for the round robin and then 10 to 12 for the how can we part of it. Yeah, I probably should have done it for the
Just
whole.
say like
whole
we're gonna
section.
come back at and then
Okay.
Like this
That sounds great.
next round, you'll get 15 minutes. Like,
Yeah, that sounds great. Well, let me go to the slides here. Am I sharing my screen? Because no, I'm not.
not yet.
I do know how to use Zoom. All right. Welcome back, everyone. Looks like you guys were having some great conversations. Is anyone from room 1 willing and able to share a summary of your conversation? Including the facilitator can do it also. Oh, Sal, go ahead.
Go ahead. You go ahead, facilitator.
If you are more than welcome to, if you'd like, but I can do that as well.
Fine.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so we had some great discussion, a lot to do with adoption rates and future proofing of changing technologies and meeting demand. So with adoption rates, and I'm not sure, were we supposed to do the how can we questions, or is that a second piece?
No, that was good. That
Okay,
was
okay.
yes, yeah.
All
It was
in
the
same.
second part of the first part, and I probably could have explained that better to you guys.
Okay, great. Yes. So in adoption rates, our question was how can we increase adoption rates, particularly in rural markets? And then also, looking at the impact of satellites on adoption rates, and seeing if that really competes with the other technologies that are offered, if they are offered as well. And then affordability as well was a concern. How can we ensure affordability is still in the forefront? That was taken away with a provision of the Bob program, so making sure that that is still there. Also sustainability, how can we make it future proof? There's so many changes with federal statutes and rules, and then as well as the state. So making sure that affordability is still there, access is still there so that we can continue to see adoption rates go up. Again, adoption. Then we also have how can we align federal changes with long-range Wisconsin plans? There's a difference between what Wisconsin wants and the task force has recommended compared to federal guidance. And then also, yes, how can people that only have access to LEO afford it? Again, affordability. And then also making sure that public-private partnerships are still there so that they can help support adoption rates and affordability. So how can we still encourage that in Wisconsin? And then, looking at the differences between fiber and the possibilities of fiber compared to fixed wireless and how we can maybe minimize the difference so that both technologies can meet future demands and functionality, especially with, AI and data centers coming through. And that also ties to the point at the bottom of just like businesses and industries are expecting fiber. And so meeting that demand throughout the state as well. And then, yeah, some more about AI, future-proofing the technology. And then we just sort of briefly got to talk a little, non-deployment dollars was mentioned before we got cut off. That's where we're at.
Good job.
You can add that in the next section, the next conversation we have.
Great.
Any
job.
clarifications anyone needs about group 1's discussion?
No, the only thing we're talking about, the change between fiber being a priority and no longer being a priority when the technology is growing so fast that some might fall behind and not be able to access what will be available in the future. So we need to consider that. And as Steve had mentioned, maybe they can start with fixed wireless, but with the goal of moving to fiber and have the possibility of continue to support that access, which is going to be very important in the future.
Excellent. Thank you. Group 2? How?
Sure. I can report out. I did not do as nice a job as Christina is taking notes. I didn't put the how can we in bold in my little bullet points.
No,
Okay,
no
so
worries.
adoption came up right away. Also AI we talked about a lot. So how the growth of AI and machine learning is creating kind of these new uses for the internet. Working with companies that have worked well in the past. So this is on the Wisconsin Broadband Office. So for example, like for a grant program, doing something like a TSA pre-check, where if a company has performed well, they're kind of, there's less red tape for them to go through.
And they don't have to take off their shoes.
And they don't
I
have to
guess
take off their shoes.
nobody does anymore, but
not reinventing the wheel, kind of like looking at what's worked in the past, looking forward. Back to AI, using it responsibly, and also potentially entering into partnerships with organizations like DPI or Marketplace Wisconsin to do some AI kind of strategy. Working with county governments on AI. Another concern that came up is last mile, so getting internet access to like extremely rural people. And then finally, this is one we kind of talked a lot about, is infrastructure capacity planning, I'm calling it. So when networks are at capacity, planning for that. So sustainability and funding and all that infrastructure stuff.
excellent. Thank you so much, Josie. Any clarifications that anyone needs from the folks who were in room 2 from their conversation?
Or I would also say if anyone in room 2 wants to
Yeah.
clarify what I said, yeah.
All right. Last but not least at all, room 3. Who's going to share from there?
I can share for us.
All right, great.
So we briefly talked about expanding programs like Digital Navigator. We weren't able to get into the nitty-gritty of that and come up with a how can we statement, but we really didn't get into a good conversation about how speed goals might need to be reevaluated with BEAD Bob Awards not being awarded to primarily fiber projects anymore, or fiber not being a priority, and really rethinking those goals and considering how certain allocations that were awarded fiber might be at a different starting point than other technology types. We also had a good conversation about paying attention to BEAD Bob decisions, and thinking about what state resources and grants can be provided to help those communities, especially like in a sustainability sense, address their post-BEAD award builds. And then finally, we had a good discussion about making sure digital skills development is a priority for communities going forward, and that includes the whole community, and communities who need digital skills adoption specifically, and then really thinking about how EI can be identified while doing that and making sure trusted voices are included in those efforts.
Awesome. Thank you, Sarah. Does anyone have any clarifying questions, or would anyone else who was in room 3 have anything they wanted to add? All right. All right, let's go to the next activity. So that was meant to be kind of getting your general ideas and then starting to think about what it was about those general ideas that you wanted to or that we need to focus on. That's what the how can we questions were about. Now let's talk a little bit about what are some things that we can do right now that would make a difference. And so it's meant to be more of an open discussion where your facilitator is going to be there taking notes, but we do have a prompting question for you that the facilitators will share with you, but I'll share right now as well. And it is what are, I have to remember what it is here. Hold on. It is, what are 1 to 2 things we can do right now that would make a difference? And you can think of the task force. You can also think of the state. You can think of that's really meant to be whatever your interpretation of we is. So one to two things we can do right now that would make a difference. You can also use your previous discussion to answer that question. It's really up to you guys in your discussion. So any questions about what I'm asking you to do? Even facilitators, do you have questions about what I'm asking?
So it sounds like some of the groups already did the how can we section and some didn't. So just to confirm, our group 2, needs to take the ideas we brainstormed and turn them into two ideas that we can do. 2 ideas that we can do.
Yeah, that you guys can choose if you can choose to have the conversation of the what are 1 to 2 things we can do right now, or you can choose to go back to the how can we questions and create those. Either one of those 2 activities would be fine. This is the part 2 discussion. You'll have 15 minutes. So you could start with you could just start with having an expansive conversation about what are 1 to 2 things that you could do right now. Or your group could go back to, let's look at this and do a couple of how can we questions. I think that's going to be up to you guys of what your group would like to do. That's probably not helpful, Josie. Would you like me to tell you what to do?
I think we're going to make it work. Okay.
Okay,
Thanks.
you can I know you can do this. You'll be fine. Whatever you guys come up with is exactly what was the right thing to come up with. And I mean that.
Okay.
We can work with it and we will work with it. Does that sound good?
Great.
Okay. All right. So you are going to have 15 minutes. So, oh, sure. Now I got to do math.
Yep. And do they got the extra slides needed to write on if they need?
Yes, there's a second slide for each of your groups and that are already created, and you will be able to use that for this part of the discussion.
All right,
so
15 minutes, and if you guys get done early with the discussion, feel free to come out of the rooms.
So it'll be 2:38-ish.
All right, here they go.
And stop sharing just for a moment while I get reset up. And we'll give them a minute to just start thinking together as a group before we start showcasing what they're writing. Because right now there's no writing happening. Still nothing being written. I'll just let it. Oh, group 1 has a little something happening there.
Yep, I got Sal that's doing the talking in room 1.
You have the best way to do
some good back and forth in room 2. Same
That's
thing.
great.
Some good back and forth between Emily and Bob in room 3.
We've got several players who are on the field right now, who are on the board. Not a lot of writing activity yet. So when another group starts, oh, there we go. I'll start sharing my screen. What are one or two things we can do right now that would make a difference? State reps help us, the task force. Okay, so state reps help the task force convince the legislature to sustain the work done by the task force. Seems pretty clear cut. Survey or research what is happening in the AI space. I know that the National Digital Extension Education team is also working on something like that, so maybe we can provide some of that information when it becomes available. And then room 3 has a couple. We need to find wording that the state legislature will not object to. Not sure what that's referring to exactly. I think I have some guesses, but and invite trusted voices or key stakeholders, making sure a range of community voices are involved, like business owners, for example. Look at what room 1 now. Typing away like crazy. Encourage our legislators, both state and federal, to encourage the NTIA and federal government to release the funds that were appropriated to the state so we can continue to do good work to help fulfill our plans approved in IP2.
Initial proposal, volume 2.
Thank you. I always think of it as just volume 2, and so I'm like, what's IP2? Working to support our broadband office and legislature to make sure the dollars come to Wisconsin. Look forward to making goals as strong as possible. Realize speed is not the solution. I'm guessing not the whole solution is probably what's meant there. Okay. Highlight workforce development. Include constituents that were impacted. Find wording that won't divide people and gets us to the end goal. And find a shared language. Yeah. I think that's what I thought that's probably what they meant.
Yep, we got Gail and Sal talking room 1 for that clarification. Room 2, we got Mike, Rave doing some discussion or suggestions. And room 3, we got Brittany going.
She's been prolific today. She's been I wonder also, so this one has 3. These guys have 3. Okay, good. They have 2. I just wanted to make sure that everyone understood that 1 to 2 things can mean 4 or 5 or 6.
Yep. Yep, but we got
Because
Bob
everyone's going to
Breeze
have
going.
different, yeah, and everyone's going to have different ideas of what those 1 to 2 things should be, right?
Love when a group goes above and beyond.
And they're also welcome to use this time to go back to their previous activity and refine that more as well. Digital navigation, governor's task force stays persistent in these efforts. Oh yeah, bead is not the end. That's what they meant. It's not like there's going to be more need beyond bead, which
Yeah, with new developments and
yes.
discussions of raising service speeds to the standards. Yeah.
Mhm. Oh yeah, that was the previous activity, sorry. Taking partnerships one step forward. What are advocacy groups that we can engage and talk to that are working with those industries daily? For some reason, the text on this slide, on Christina's slides, ends up being like squished together. I'll have to
Need to
fix
make
that for future.
is the box the same size as the other ones? Does it need to be expanded?
Yeah, I think it's the same size. I think there's something with the I'll
Font?
set the template up better so that it's more legible for next time. It's not happening for all of them. Like this one, you can see it's a little bit neater, but
Yeah.
I'm more concerned about legibility to anyone that watches this meeting after. Are we recording?
Oh yes,
Okay.
their public meetings are recorded. Yes.
Yeah, I don't think I noticed
At least the virtual ones.
Yeah. And let's see, how much time do they have left?
5.5 minutes.
Okay, great.
So we'll see if any of them come out early, if
I
they're
did
still pushing,
I
but
did forget to mention that they could come back early if they want to.
oh, I
Everyone
mentioned it to them before
did? Okay.
yeah.
Good.
And yeah, no, again, first meeting of the
Mhm.
year after everybody's little break. So this is gonna be a nice content to work with for upcoming meetings. Like it.
Yeah. And one thing we hear from them every year and almost after every meeting is that it's good for them to be able to have a little bit more time to have these discussions. So I actually would be a little surprised if they came back too early. Okay. Communities who didn't receive their preferred tech, we should be communicating with them and making sure elected officials work on building better networks and state funding is likely needed. I want to go back to this digital navigator one because I just mentioned this main section, the governor task force stays persistent in the near term with these efforts, and that I think this is an important point here that the digital navigation is tailored to the communities that they are offered to. For example, to new adopters, urban versus rural, employment, online forums, etc. Survey about private and public capital required for infrastructure build out. Partner with DPI, WEDC, tourism counties, nonprofits. And we went through that one. Let's see. Taking partnerships one step forward. What are advocacy groups that we can engage and talk to that are okay or not working with them because of adoption? I might have to ask for some clarification on that one myself. Just gonna peek. I realize now what you were saying before with and we've got Bob and Mike Rave and Gail and Steve. And there's about 2 minutes left yet. It does look like things are slowing down a little bit, but that's what happened last time. And then suddenly at the very end, a whole bunch of typing started going on. So this one added a couple more accountability for ISPs that are receiving public funding, and reporting from ISPs is important. Or the ISPS, which I'm not sure what that would be. The International Service of Postal Services? No. Okay, this one we've seen everything here. Less than a minute left. And then I'm thinking, right, it has like that gives them another minute beyond that. Is that right? Or does it
30
close?
seconds.
Okay, 30 seconds beyond that. Okay. Let's see if there's anything new. Guessing this group is talking about partnerships with the League of Municipalities. I don't want to guess too much. They'll report it to us, but okay. Oh, they removed that one. Oh, we've got some folks joining us again.
We in group 3 thought we were pretty much done.
That's great. And you know what? The rooms are going to close in 7 seconds. So perfect timing.
I'll be back in 30 to 60 seconds.
That sounds great. Let's see. It looks like everyone's back. How did that go? You guys got a lot done. I'm impressed. All right. Is someone from room 1 willing to go through your discussion?
I can share out.
Great.
So one or two things that we can do right now to make a difference. Using our resources that we have in this room. We've got some state reps on the task force, and perhaps they can help us, the task force, convince legislatures to sustain the work done by the task force. We've also got encouraging our legislatures, both state and federal, to encourage NTIA and the federal government to release the funds that were appropriated to the states so that we can continue the good work and help fulfill our plans that were approved in the initial proposal volume 2. And that also looks like working to support our broadband office and legislature to make sure that those dollars come to Wisconsin, really highlighting the workforce development components that were cut, and including constituents, Wisconsinites, the public that were impacted so that they can potentially advocate and explain the importance of those funds. And then also back to partnerships, not just public-private, but looking at nonprofits, local and regional governments, and as well as businesses. And then, engaging them, figuring out different ways to engage them with that sort of, encouragement and legislature work. And then we can take our partnerships one step forward and sort of looking at what are those advocacy groups that we can engage with who are working with industries or not working with them because of adoption issues. And then there was also another action item. I'm not sure if one of Room One's participants wanted to touch on that as well that we missed to write down.
I can type it out right now.
I think I went down a little bit of a rabbit hole just saying, if I have a lot of employees. Well, first of all, the FCC put some numbers out relative to the amount of data traffic that originates on wireless networks, primarily mobility networks, and that number is still over 50%. And just looking at some of my younger employees who do their job applications through their phone, through text, they do their, payroll stuff through phone, text, and my marketing people create stuff through AI and phone, and just saying there's some linkage perhaps between adoption in some areas and what's done on a mobile device and what's done on a fixed device from a, societal basis, and what, folks a lot younger than I are doing in real life versus what I think they need to do.
Thanks, Steve.
You said fixed device, mobile devices versus what's done on fixed devices and like
computers.
Like your
okay.
cell phones and
Desktop.
iPads versus a computer hooked up to fiber at home or fiber hooked up to Wi-Fi versus a macro cellular network.
Mhm.
Okay. Thank you. Does anyone need any clarification from Group 1? Or have any questions? Okay. Let's talk to Group 2.
Okay, great. So AI was again a huge topic for us. So one thing we talked about was just a survey or research about what is currently happening in the AI space. There's a lot that we feel we don't know. Education about responsible AI use. So and through that education, or while doing that education, rather, the need to understand who the audience is. So is it schools, the general public, small businesses? When it comes to that education around AI, entities we could potentially partner with are DPI, the Economic Development Corporation, Wisconsin Department of Tourism, counties, the chambers of commerce, redos, nonprofits, and then these organizations like League of Municipalities, the Wisconsin Counties Association, Wisconsin Towns Association. Speaking of kind of infrastructure capacity planning, potentially a survey about what capital exists in the private and public sectors for doing some of that build out. And then a big topic was accountability for ISPs that are receiving public funding. So making sure that those that they are reporting, that the reporting is getting read, and that they are being kind of held to account for their actions.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Josie. And does anyone have any questions or need any clarification from Room 2? Or is there anyone from Room 2 that wanted to add anything? All right. Room 3.
Okay, our group talked a lot about finding wording that works for the state legislator, or that the state legislator will not object to, specifically wording that won't divide people, that people understand, but ultimately gets us to our end goal. We also talked about inviting trusted voices or stakeholders, and ultimately making sure a range of community voices are involved. And someone gave an example of such as business owners. We also talked about looking forward and making sure speed and adoption goals are as strong as possible, because it's important to realize that BEAD is not the end or the overall solution. And then we also talked about related to digital navigator efforts. Someone mentioned that it would be important for the governor's task force to stay persistent in the near term with these digital navigator efforts, such as tailoring them to the communities that they are offered to. And then finally, for any communities who didn't receive their preferred technology, we should be communicating with them and seeing what they still need or lack, and ensure elected officials work on building better networks for them and ensure they understand that state funding will likely be needed to achieve that.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I'm gonna rhyme here for a second, but that BEAD is not the end. I think I said something like there will still be a need after BEAD for continued support. That is the extent of my stand up for you guys today. So any clarifications or questions for group 3? Thanks to Barbara for the laughter. Okay, so hearing none, I want to thank all of you because I know that when we get started on these conversations, they're always very expansive and kind of loosey-goosey, but we will be using them to help determine some future meeting, speakers and direction, and also these will these will continue to be kind of coming up in our conversations moving forward, and we will start to get to how are we going to do this. So that's all I had. Take it away, Chris.
Thank you, Jessica. All right. And again, thank you for your contributions in the group sessions. That's what this meeting's about, is getting your feedback. So thank you. The next item on the agenda is next steps. It's going to be led by Mark. He's going to walk us through next steps. Mark.
Yep, thanks, Chris. Yeah, so next meeting date is October 15th at 1 p.m. A reminder, registration for future task force meeting is required. Directions on how to register for future meetings will be on the public agenda that's posted to the Public Service Commission events calendar and also on the task force webpage. So stay tuned for an agenda. I'll now hand it over to you, Chris, for final words and adjournment.
Yeah, thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Any last words from the Public Service Commission?
Thank you for all the work you've been doing, and to all of you. Excellent work. Thank you.
Any other last words from anybody on the task force? If not, enjoy your final days of summer and get out and enjoy the sunshine before it's gone for the fall. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Thanks all.
Bye.
Thank you.